So I want to talk about what to do with limiting beliefs. But let me really explain limiting beliefs. Not just in the standard kind of understanding. As usual, we like to take things a bit deeper here. Let's really come to understand limiting belief systems. Limiting belief systems mean not God belief systems, obviously. All right? Everyone, thinks they know what we mean by limiting beliefs. But people have made that concept, limiting beliefs, into kind of their own little doctrines that's convenient to them. They might say, well, I have some limiting beliefs about self-esteem. That's kind of an obvious one, but that's one that people easily gravitate towards owning. But there's so much more. There's so much more to it. You cannot have limiting beliefs about your life or things if you do not have limiting beliefs about yourself. And I don't just mean I'm not as pretty as I think I should be. That's really mundane. I'm talking about you are or you are not the divine being God created you to be. Any deviation from I am completely as God created me to be is it a limiting belief. Any deviation from that. So when people say I'm going to let go of some limiting beliefs, you know what let's say I asked people in a workshop to write down limiting beliefs that they'd like to release. Typically, they'll make a list, that's cool, but often they're things that are kind of the surface level things. That I don't deserve a better relationship. That I don't deserve, better health or whatever. Something, which are all good, but they're still kind of surface level topics. Most people don't really know how to track the deepest, darkest limiting beliefs, and it has to be done at some point. Why do they then only put on the list the things that are convenient? They don't want to put, like for example, when I say I have a limiting belief, I'm going to surrender. It's that I don't deserve better. See, under that, what I'm saying is, the people I've been with are such jerks. I deserve better. So I'm going to let go of my limiting belief that I should only attract jerks. See, you haven't talked about you. You're still talking about jerks in your life. You have to come to, what was I thinking? Not what was I thinking to create jerks in my life. It's what was I thinking about me? That now I'm getting closer. You can never really heal limiting belief systems if you're talking about other people. Yeah, I'm going to release their limiting beliefs. That doesn't make any sense. What about yours? Where did this come from? What was I thinking? And I think that also, besides the fact that people like to control which things they're going to put on the list, man, I'm going to be real vulnerable today. It's time for me to let go of my limiting beliefs about jerks in my life. That's not really going for it. How vulnerable can you be? How honest can you be? Can we really go into the beliefs that were unlovable? The beliefs that were flawed, that were not divine, that sort of thing. It's not easy, but any amount is good. I mean, even if it's surface level stuff, at least we're going in the right direction. But people like to be control freaks, and I'll put on the list the things that I'm ready to release. I don't even want to have come to the surface the things I don't want to think about. But as we grow spiritually, our ability to be honest has to increase as well. You're not going to grow without honesty, self-honesty, growing, right? Know thyself. Not only control, but that's going to come from fear. People are ultimately afraid to see what their true limiting belief systems are. And if all you can do is start with surface level stuff and still blame other people, God bless you, because at least you're starting somewhere. You'll find, though, if you have any amount of conviction to grow spiritually, you'll grow, at some point, you'll go beyond or past the moment of others. My limiting beliefs, I have limiting beliefs about my boss who will not give me a raise. So you're still talking about the boss. At some point, I wonder what it is in me that says I don't deserve. You see, that's getting closer. You're going in the direction of my thoughts and beliefs. And all of the thoughts and beliefs, without getting too philosophical about it, all of them are ultimately rooted in the idea that we are separate from divinity And because we're separate from divinity, we're flawed. Because in divine, you can't be flawed. We have to first think we are no longer in Kansas, Toto. We're not in Kansas anymore. We're not one with God. Even though some of us go, well, I don't believe that. You're sitting here. You have to believe it. No, I don't. Okay, never mind. I'm not going to be the one to try to convince you. You know, I could easily convince you. As soon as I kick you in the leg and you go, ouch, it seems to me you have a limiting belief. Because if you can feel pain, you're not an unlimited being. You know, so I'm not going to try to drive it home. You know, people are just sometimes going to, no, I don't believe that. And the denial isn't going to help. We're so much more spiritual when we can say, you know, it's a funny thing. I grow, I meditate. I know I'm becoming more spiritual all the time. And then just be able to go, but isn't it funny how deep inside I still know that I have limiting belief systems? I don't even know what they are in this moment, but I just accept they might be there. That humility makes you more spiritual than saying, since I see none, I must not have any. You know, it's too risky that's denial. So I would just go the other route and just, you know, live dangerously. Assume that you got some stuff. Now, in the Old Testament, you were told, and New Testament, do not worship false gods. As soon as we hear that, most of us are thinking the literal, which is true because the people in the time of the Old Testament especially, they heard things literally. Thou shalt not do this and this. It's very literal. You know, and so it's like, well, thou shalt not have false gods. If you take it literally, what that means is there are other gods. Just don't like any of them except the one, or you might get mad, because God is a jealous God, the Bible also says. It's kind of interesting. It's like a beauty pageant, you know, of divinity. God says, do not look at any of the other pageant, you know, contestants. Look at only me, is what it sounds like. That's what people took it. God is a jealous God. Mistranslations. Seriously? God's like, oh God, I'm just feeling so insecure that you guys are worshiping a bronze calf. You know, don't you love me anymore? I mean, it doesn't happen. But that's how people hear it. Yeah. False gods. So when you know, as soon as we think like false gods, I start going to Charlton Heston movies in my head. You know, that's what happens. Like, what is my connection? What is my memory? You know, that's what we go to. Okay, Charlton Heston, he comes down the mountain and the Israelites are like worshiping and praising, you know, this metal, you know, calf. And they're, you know, and then, oh, look what you people have done. God is mad, you know. That's the old understanding of false gods. In the Now Testament, which hasn't been written yet, but I'm working on it. In the Now Testament, not old or new, the Now Testament tells you this. Thou shalt not believe in any limiting thoughts. Thou shalt not worship false belief systems. Thou shalt not respect lies about yourself. Know who you really are is what it means. See, so it's very interesting. When God says thou shalt not, it's not saying there's a competitor. God wasn't saying, don't you dare choose some of the other gods that are out there competing with me. God was saying, I wouldn't advise that because there are no others. That applies to then and it applies to now, but then translated even more so to today. Imagine God speaking to you this morning when you woke up and you hear this voice saying, I would like to download to you the Now Testament and a commandment. There is only love. And if you believe in anything but love, you're worshiping a false god. Worshiping, again, throws us off. You're investing in a lie. If you believe that you're anything but a divine being, you're investing in something that's not true. You see the difference? I mean, the ease that can come into us with, instead of thou shalt not, it's, wow, it's just this beautiful, I wouldn't waste my time if I were you. And we all have false gods or limiting beliefs. We may not know what they are. There's the ones that we think are obvious. We don't realize When you have a codependent relationship, it is a false god. When you think, I cannot live if living is without you, you are bowing at a God that does not exist. Only God is. When you think you need that person who's X number of feet tall and wide and, shape and this and that and the age and the gender, and that's not even who they are. It doesn't make any sense. I love you. You're so handsome. You're so pretty. You're so this. You're so fit. You're so strong. You're so intelligent. Not one thing that I see in you is really you. They're just things you're wearing for now. So if I honor those things about you, I'm actually at the altar bowing and worshiping. It doesn't mean literally worshiping. It means investing. When you say to me, I'm wealthy, and I'm like, oh, I'm investing in you are wealthy and I'm not. When I see you as poverty-stricken, oh, you poor thing, I am investing that you are in poverty. But none of those are true. These are just clothes we wear. You're pretending to have poverty this lifetime. You're pretending to be wealthy this lifetime. And it's not true. Oops, I bought into it. So surrender that God. I know it may sound strange. It may sound like I'm exaggerating to make a parallel between false gods and idols. Go to A Course in Miracles. It'll tell you your body is thought to be an idol of some sort. When you think, it's very simple, really. Anything you think gives you something is an idol. You're investing that something outside yourself can give you something, and it's called false gods in the deepest of the Now Testament. False gods. Why false? Because you can't really give me anything. You make me feel so lovable. No, I don't. It just looks that way. You either are lovable or you're falsely believing that you're not. If you falsely believe that you're unlovable and then think that I make you lovable, you've made me into a god. When you think a supplement gives you health or medication, cures your disease, it's not true. You can't be sick in the God self. They're all investments. Now that doesn't mean you're supposed to say, oh my God, what have I been doing? God's probably very upset over this. No, not at all. We're encouraged to laugh at it a bit. Instead of taking it all so serious. There are people I've heard say, and it could be you, so don't think I'm, outing you here, but there are people that say, oh, my grandchildren are the source of my happiness. No, they're not. My children are the source of my unhappiness. No, they're not. And that's why you think the grandchildren are the source of your happiness. Because they're getting your children back for being the source of your unhappiness. See, this may sound sacrilegious. Would you believe that even worshiping Jesus is a false idol? Because Jesus does not identify himself as being Jesus. He identifies with himself being the Christ, which is part of the Trinity of God. So he doesn't say, worship me. Now, mind you, that doesn't mean that divine beings judge you. Let me explain. If you worship Archangel Michael, he's my source of strength, he's my guide, that's fine. Because that's as far as you're going to go. But if you go anywhere shy of God itself, it is still a limit. Even Jesus. Now, Jesus would say to you, hey, you know what? If this is all you can do, we'll move the wooden statue and stick it at the podium here, and you guys can all bow to it, and, that's Jesus. If that's the best you can do, okay. Jesus himself would say, look, if you can only Jesus, fine. Because he's saying, at least I symbolize something good. But, he would say, I encourage you to look past the historic person to the consciousness he attained. And I would then encourage you to welcome that same consciousness within yourself. Why? This is tricky. Check this out. Because any belief limiting belief you put on yourself, you actually impose on God. That's heavy. Any limiting belief you put on you, you put on God. We why doesn't God answer prayers and why does God seem so distant? Because you have already suppressed your own divinity. You can't connect with its divinity. Think about that. We limit God's ability to speak to us, to heal us, when we think we're flawed because God is already seeing us whole. So it would be, if we could just accept what God believes about us, we would already instantaneously be divine. God isn't the one that needs the adjustment, the attitude adjustment. But God downloads love to us, and we actually shield it off because of our limiting beliefs. Which means, strangely, we have the power to limit God's power. Which just sounds so strange. Some people, no, that's impossible. If it were impossible, we wouldn't be sitting here. We're only here because of self-imposed imprisonment of belief systems. There's a great story. Let me say this first. Again, when I'm using these words, I'm using them specifically. Only God has power. Do the majority of us watching and in this room, can we believe that? Only God is truly power, right? Okay. And God, the Father and the Mother, we know, all powerful, right? But God is a Trinity. It's a Father and a Mother God, which you would not say, oh, the Mother God is limited. No, you wouldn't. Father God, no. But wait, it's a Trinity. The child of God, the creation of God, is also part of the Trinity, and that's us. So technically, all power resides within God, which means all power resides within us, right?
Right.
That means that anything outside that you think has power, the weather, or someone leaving you, now I just can't live, I'm so sad because you left me. Anything you think has power. This medication cured my disease. Anything you think has power is being given a real power? No, only God has power. If we put power in anything outside, it is simply a false power. What is it that has real power? God. So if you think something outside has power, you're making it a false God. Do you see the logic of that? If you can have an open mind, this will settle in real easily. It makes total sense. Only God has power. God is within, and God is only love. Can't have sickness or disease or cures for the disease. Really, not fake cures. So anything outside is false power. Therefore, it's a false God. Why? Because only God has power. So anything I think has power is a false God. So I have made God, gods out of children. I have made gods out of money. I have made gods out of the weather. Oh, how you doing today? Oh, not so good. God, it's just so hot. Okay, so today, I have given the weather the ability to determine whether I'm having a good day. And that's why Jesus was able to control the weather. Jesus did not look at a storm and go, oh man, this is going to be a tough one because that's a big storm. Okay. Like in a wizard movie, light beaming against the dark light. It's not sci-fi and it's not fantasy movies. God did not have to fight. Jesus did not have to fight something to say, look, wow, am I something? He had to actually know. Not fight. He had to know. What's there to fight? What's there to fight? It's dark. Turn on a light. Now it's not dark. Like you don't have to walk, and I hope you don't, walk into a room at night, in the middle of the night, coming home from being out, you come home in the middle of the night so that you don't trip and so forth. I hope you don't stand in the darkness going, come on, light, darkness be gone. Just flip on the damn switch. And that's all we have to do. It's the concept of let go and let God. Let there be light. Remember that? Let there be light. Creation begins with God saying, let there be light. And God didn't say, let there be light. And let's do that again because the darkness is so heavy, man. We have to fight darkness. No, just let there be light. And that's what we have to learn to do. It's not easy because we have become, and this is one of the main challenges, is why people are so stuck on limiting beliefs. It's an addiction now. Addictions are never inconvenient. They seem inconvenient. Addictions are only ever convenient. You would never allow an addiction if it weren't convenient. To mask something, to avoid something. It's very convenient, egotistically. So we're addicted to these limiting beliefs because it helps us hide from the realization, the guilt and shames of what we've done to ourselves because it's ridiculous. The things we've done to each other are ridiculous and we don't want to own it. But it's there. So we have to learn to say, okay, you know what? Let there be light. Meaning, I have allowed myself to believe that there's something besides God. You know, you might not like those words. You might have to choose a lighter approach to appease something in you. But whatever words you can come up with, this isn't true. I started believing that as I'm aging, I'm less attractive. How silly. What does that have to do with anything? Attraction? Really? Is that what really? Am I that shallow? I'm only skin deep? Wow. And laugh at it. Oops. Remember I said that's one of the best mantras you can say. Oops. 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 Somebody pod me oops. Because it just means, wow, that was silly. So there's a story. The Gospel or the Old Testament is called the Book of Daniel. I think there's like 12 chapters, 13 chapters, whatever it is. The Book of Daniel. But there are other chapters of the Book of Daniel that did not make it into the Bible. A couple of extra chapters. They're called apocryphal, not the Apocalypse, Revelation book, it's different, but the apocryphal books. There are a handful of apocryphal books that are in some Bibles but not in others. And then there's the lost books of the Bible, which are dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of other books that didn't make it into the Bible for various reasons. Some were not discovered yet, and so on. But in one of the extra books of Daniel, a couple of interesting things. So one is called the story of Bel. They call him Bel and the dragon, but Bel. Bel is like Baal, one of the gods of one of the civilizations of the time. And the king, he says, Cyrus, he says, you know, Daniel, I noticed that you don't worship Bel like the rest of us. And Daniel's like, Bel is not a god. But sure it is. We worship Bel. There's his statue. And Bel is kept in a temple. People go in and worship Bel. Daniel says, but Bel's just a statue. It's not real. Oh, I wouldn't say that if I were you. Do you know that every night we bring food offerings to Bel? We close the door and seal the temple, and in the morning the offerings are all eaten. Bel is real. Daniel says, okay, and then you know, and he's debating this and saying, no, I believe in the real God. And Cyrus says, you know what? It's you against the priests. Whoever loses dies. So I'm going to put you to the test. You can see it for yourself. Daniel says, sure. We're going to put the food in, right? We're going to seal it. And then the signet of the king is going to be put on the outer door of this temple. And it will not be broken. And it'll prove only that statue could have eaten the foods. Next morning, the food's gone. But what everybody didn't know is Daniel, the wisdom of God, channeling through Daniel, he put ashes on the floor. He goes in and the king says, the food's gone. Praise to Bel. Praise to Bel. And Daniel said, wait, king, don't celebrate too quickly. Look at the floor. And there were footprints. There was a secret passage. The priests, as usual, the corrupt religious leaders, you know, were digging the worship and the money and the food they received. So that all these feet marks, you know, and the king says, what's this? Priests and their wives and children were all going in and smuggling the food out. selling it, eating it. The king had them all put to death. No more Bel. There's a moral to this story. But then there's another test. Fine, Bel, you're right, was just a statue. We have another powerful being. It's an animal called a dragon. Now you might not realize the Bible validated not only unicorns, which is written of a couple of times in the Old Testament, a dragon. So there's a dragon written about, and Daniel says, it's just an animal, it's not a god. No, this is a dragon. You don't find many of those on the planet, and we keep it. We have it captured. A dragon. And he says, I can prove it's still a limited, it's just a beast, it's just an animal. Oh no, it's magical, it's amazing, it's a dragon, it's ferocious, it can do things that other animals can't do. And Daniel says, all right, I can destroy the dragon without even bearing a weapon. No way. He channels a recipe of something, nice little concoction, and he feeds it to the dragon. Shortly thereafter, the dragon actually bursts open and dies. And again, Daniel's saying, do you see? The gods that people worship, there's a general moral of the story. It's a statue. Knock it off. It's an animal. Knock it off. It's also your children, your grandchildren. It's your money. Knock it off. The greater moral of the story is there really is only God, and God created you. It's okay. You don't need to worship God, because that we have a misunderstanding and a weird connotation to that. God does not have an ego that needs worship. It's more like a celebration. Thank God that only God is. Oh, this is great. Thank you, God, when we forget that you remember. Thank you that there's only love. When you raise people from the dead or heal people from sickness, you don't just praise God, you're thanking. You're saying, thank you that you don't forget, that you can never forget that we're divine beings. You see, it's a celebration. And Daniel, although it's using old terminology, and there's statues involved, and some of us say, well, we don't do much of that anymore, thank God. We don't usually worship, an animal. People do, in their own little way, worship their animals. They do. Their animals are often more important to them than God itself. And I'm not saying that it's not even just about animals. I'm saying anything. There are people that, they could say to themselves, they become heartbroken and completely, their minds lost. For example, they lost their wedding ring. Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, but it's just a ring. What matters is you. You don't understand. That was expensive. Oh, okay, never mind. I was wrong. That does have value. That is important. Nothing is important of the material world, which is what the mystics keep trying to say all these years. Nothing. You still don't get it. That was my mother's. She is not on the other side descending from heaven to hell because you lost her ring. She's okay over it. You're the only one all bent up about it. Get past the idols, whatever you think is important. Now, when I say more important than God, that has some obvious connotations. If you don't remember to pray every day, why? I have to get to work. You just made work more important. Oh, fine, then I'll pray first and be late. No, just get up earlier. Don't screw up your life and blame God. So there's those obvious things. Put God first. The kids, they need me. No, wait. You tell the kids, here's how this is going to work. You're going to chill until I have a moment of prayer so that I have enough sanity to handle you people. You can put it in place. God first. It doesn't mean you lock your door while they're all, struggling and hungry and you stay away in 2 hours of meditation. Guys, even if it means seconds. I remember a couple really stressful moments, man, in my life when I had little ones. And I remember getting in the car to take them to school, and a couple of times in particular, even before I even started the car, I had to breathe for a second because there was so much angst going on. And they were doing their little morning thing. And guys, not today, man. Just stop. I need a minute. and they could kind of feel, oh, wow, this is serious. And it was, in my estimation, but let's find God before I start driving. Let's have a moment. I think it's admirable that some athletes, not all, but some, take a moment to pray. Some of it's a little bizarre. I'm gonna drop to one knee in the corner before I pummel you in a boxing match. Some of that's a little bit bizarre. But some of these athletes do, in their way, they pray. You can't wrong a soldier for praying and say, well, he shouldn't be in war. You know what? But he is. So it's right that he should call upon God wherever he is. And the same with any of us. God first. That's the obvious ones. But it's not just the obvious, do I put time for God first? Look at a 12-step program, how God has to be an essential part to get started in this program. It's not just a priority kind of God first. There's other pieces to it, such as your sanity, your emotional stability. It's not just the external, I start the day with God literally, because sometimes if you miss, then catch up later. Oops, I missed it, I'll catch it in the shower. Oops, I missed it, I'll catch it on the drive. Just bring it in somewhere. That's the obvious. Less obvious is when you lose your mind. When things get the best of you and you start descending into despair, doubt, fear, low self-worth. My partner left me. I had 50 years invested. How can I find someone else now? Who's going to want me now? That's faithlessness. Not in God, but in yourself. And if you have faithlessness in yourself, you then automatically have faithlessness in God. It's automatic. If I think I'm unlovable, I automatically believe God itself doesn't love me. Believe it or not, it's true. It all collapses just because of one thing, my belief systems. Limiting belief systems are not true. They are not powerful. They're not God. But they will seem like God while you're in the earth plane. So they're not wise to keep. We have to all take time to, do inventory and see through all this stuff. See where do I have limiting belief systems? One of the best ways we can honor God is by releasing our own limiting beliefs, because you take the shackles off of God itself when you remove them from ourselves, when we remove them from ourselves. How to do that? You have to own that you've done it. How do I know I've done it? You're sitting here. You're in a body. That's already evidence itself. You think that if only, that as soon as you say the words if only, you already have a God you're worshiping, a false God. If only I were younger. That's not true. It's now a false God. It's something you think would make you better if only. That's a false God. If only I could win the lottery. If only I got a raise. Look for the if onlys, because those are the moments of, oh, divine being, if only, and now we're at the altar worshiping it. If only I hadn't drank so much. If only I hadn't married so-and-so. See, those are all false gods. None of them are true, and none of them have power. Absolutely do not have power over us. When people are praying with you and affirming the truth, what they're doing is trying to restore the mind that was believing in false gods. And again, I understand the terminology. If I were to start this talk, or we published it out there, or wrote a book called False Gods, most people aren't going to read that, because it sounds so Old Testament. Must be about calves and golden calves and bronze this and golden whatever. It isn't. The false gods are these daily psychological issues. Our addictions are false gods, including the addictions with people. Why am I calling them false gods? Because every addiction is based upon thinking something gives you something that it doesn't. If you think, man, this drug really makes me feel good. No, it doesn't. I do because I feel relaxed. That's because you already felt tense. It's helping you feel less of what you think was an anxiety. You haven't healed your anxiety. You just chilled it a bit. You numbed it a bit. Some people, there's certain drugs that they go, this is amazing. When in fact, the amazing effects it's having that you're going, oh, this is amazing. Like for example, acid. So you drop some acid and you go, oh, I'm hearing colors. I'm seeing sounds. What you've done is you're actually killing brain cells, and you're seeing the effects of them being murdered. And some of the effects of your murdered brain cells are little explosions that you think, oh, wonderful colors. Let me have more. You see, it's bizarre. It's like George Harrison said. He said, we tried that a little bit. And he said, one day out of curiosity, I looked at a drop of acid under a microscope. I was just curious. And he said, you know what? It looked like a rope. And I thought, we're hanging ourselves. And he said, that day I was done. These things don't really do anything for you. It's bizarre. It's just trickery. And that's what A Course in Miracles calls it magic. Why? Not in the wonderful, beautiful, fanciful sense of magic, but he calls it magic because he's saying it's a sleight of hand. You destroy brain cells when you do acid, and then you're seeing all the effects. But some of those effects are this. I'm in a dense body, and around us there are higher dimensions, right? One of those wouldn't be the third dimension, it would be the fourth dimension. When I destroy brain cells, there's a part of me that's dying. Like when I die, I actually leave the third dimension, I go to the fourth dimension, right? So what you do, you go to the next dimension. So when I'm doing acid and I'm partly killing myself to a degree, I'm partly entering the astral world, which is filled with colors and sounds and cute things. So you're actually having a mini death. Energetically, you're actually destroying your etheric field and your aura, your energetic field, your astral body. And you're thinking it's pretty. But you're actually putting holes, right, healers? Those of you who are healers should know that. You're putting holes in your astral body, and that's why you're seeing things of higher dimensions, of other dimensions. And it sounds amazing. The mystic said, no, be a nice person, and you'll automatically start having authentic visions of higher dimensionality and consciousness. This is synthetic. That's why one master teacher back in the 60s took a handful of acid from a guy who said, check this out. In the West, we figured out how to do what you guys take lifetimes to do. We just drop one of these. This master took a handful of acid drops from that Western teacher that was trying to promote acid, threw them all in his mouth. He's going, no, you can't take all those. And they dissolved into nothing because he's saying it's a deception. It's an illusion. The master didn't go, whoa, you're right. Dang, I'm even going to higher dimensions. He turned it into nothingness because the consciousness is what matters. What's real is God, and God is consciousness. But it's only love consciousness, not deceptive consciousness. It's only love. False gods. Another version of false gods are people that make themselves more important than the truth or than God. This town is filled with people that love to make themselves into gods. Look at me, I'm wonderful. They have nothing to even say. But if they promote it well, everybody wants to hear it. And the world has plenty of these kinds of people. You know, the teacher that stands there, that doesn't remember that all we are is together, we're in this together. Even Jesus knows that. Jesus himself would not say, worship me. How could he say, worship me when I'm you? That makes no sense. We're all in this together. And a teacher that forgets that and thinks, I offer you something special, I'm just a drop of acid. That's kind of a bizarre imagery, isn't it? You know?
That's what they are.
Yeah, that's all they are, is another drug. And then they're worshiping false gods. You know what their gods are? They're students. I need you to make me feel special. I need you to tell me I'm wonderful. How wonderful are you, teacher, if you don't know it yourself? You know, and then how could you know that if you don't know that it's about you and God, teacher? You know, is it about your skills? Is it about your articulations? Is it about your studies and your certificates? Then you have false gods as well. We're all in this together. A good teacher must always remember that. A good parent must always remember that. You're playing a role is all. You are the parent. You know, I mean, it would be ludicrous to tell your 5-year-old, you know what, I'm not in the mood to go to work. Please go for me. You know, well, but Mom, Dad, you work a crane. I don't know how to work cranes at work. That wouldn't make sense. You're playing a role. And as a teacher, I have responsibilities. They shouldn't be stringent and harsh, but love-based responsibilities, conscientious responsibilities as parents, as teachers, but never should that take such a role of thinking anything about superiority. It makes no sense. A good teacher, a good parent would always remember, even if I'm playing this role this time, you might be up here next time. You'd never forget that. And if you really get that, you'll know that you'll probably always be a good teacher. You'll always be a teacher because you always remember the truth of it, which is that we're all in this together. Same with healers. The healer that thinks, come one, come all, because I am amazing. I can heal all of your sicknesses, you poor people. Then I'm not healing you at all. If I don't understand that we, not you, we have forgotten your wholeness, which is why you're sick today. We are then going to choose to see your wholeness, and then you will not be sick. And you'll feel better about this and that. Hopefully right this minute, instantaneous healing. But if not, I'm not going to lose track of the fact that I still choose to see you as whole. That's it. But I can't see you as whole if I don't see myself as whole. We're in this together. So please keep life in perspective. Even if you don't share this with anybody else, ever say this to anybody else, ever write about it, keep in mind the truth of God, the priorities. I choose not to put, any power. Now, some people exaggerate that. They'll say, well, I don't believe in any power outside myself, so I'll never read another book. I won't pray to God, and I won't listen to a teacher. See, you're being reactive. You're trying to swing your pendulum to the other side, saying, I don't need anything outside myself. No, you can still go see a surgeon. You can get a massage, and you can pray to God. The only difference, which is something Buddha tried to explain, is when you do it, recognize that they're still part of you. That's all you have to do. You don't have to deny yourself a massage. I need it, but I can't believe that I need it, or it'll put power outside myself. Shut up. Just get a rub, man. It's good. But give thanks as you're doing it. You know why you get a massage? Because you deserve it. Why do you deserve it? Because you're part of God. And God would never choose to feel yucky. See, just drop into it. And then the person doing it, wow. It's okay. And even when we have instances that don't go so well, that's confusing because I'm trying to picture God in everything. Those are just those moments that try to tempt us to see otherwise. Just to share a quick thing, a personal thing. This is our own little experience in the three-dimensional world. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get some massage done. A friend, a couple of friends actually were saying, you really ought to go see this person or that person. So I went and saw somebody, and they're really a good-sized person, very strong. I'm going to go get a massage. I had a few. But in the last of the few, they were working so deep, they broke a couple of ribs. And I'm like, I think you broke my ribs. No, that was just a deep, wonderful release. And I'm like, okay. And I still went back a month later or so and said, by the way, they were broken, and just FYI, be a little careful there. I didn't shame them, I didn't diss them, and I didn't go around town saying, don't ever go see this person. This was my experience. They were just temptations for me to see otherwise. So I got past that. It was a year or so ago. Saw a chiropractor. Chiropractors are great. I love them all. I think they're great. I think their work is great and it's valid. Saw one in particular, broke a couple ribs. And I'm like, And I look at it as a test. Still recommend people to the person. This was not what they do. This is not what they always do. In fact, they're quite successful people, and they did great work with me. It just happened, though. And I look at it as a test. You don't have to do that. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying, I just take responsibility. This is what's happening. This is my experience. You see? I mean, do what you will. I can go and see a spiritual teacher, love them 9 times. One time they might say something I don't like. Are they bad, wrong, etc.? This is a test. This is a test. That's all it is. And it's up to me to decide what to do with that. You know, and I got to say this. There are, like, say, 4 different kinds of people in this world. There are people who are just hateful and don't like you. Okay. There are people that are just loving and do like you. And I really appreciate the people that can just be so loving that they love us or like us. I think that's great. And then there's people that are just hateful. They're not going to. But lesser than those 2 extremes, closer to the center here, there are people that say they like you and then don't. They turn on you. That's kind of a drag because they were in the love side of the pendulum, but they switched over because it's tempting. I will not do that. I will not automatically hate, and I will do my best to not be tempted to swing to the side of the pendulum and think I like someone and then find a flaw in them. I might not go back because that's my choice. I might not marry the person, my choice. But I refuse to let what I love to become hate. Is that making sense? And one of the other things is not just the people who always love. There's also people who love, who get tempted to switch to the other side, and they bounce back. They are a rare breed. It's rare to know people that are just so loving they won't buy the temptation at all. If that's you in my life, God bless you, man. Thank you. But also, if anyone has ever, for me or for you, has ever liked you, loved you, got tempted to switch over with fault finding, and bounced back. Guys, do you know how rare that is? Most people can't do that because that's only done with responsibility. That's only done when you can go, wait a minute, I see through this, and I clear it and find love for you again. To love, lose love, and love again is a holy experience. The other side, loved, found fault, anybody can do that. Always find fault and never liked you in the first place, that's just like a pure hate, a pure evil, and some people hold that mind for now. Is that all making sense? Take responsibility. It's okay that we love something and start to feel like we're losing it, but bounce back. It's only when we create false idols that people can fall. Love them beyond the agendas we had. Oh, I wanted this massage therapist to be just perfect all the time. Well, you know, maybe there's a part of me that thought, God, this is great, you know, and maybe got too invested. Cracked the ribs. Oh, great. And then just clear it and come back to the love. I hope that metaphor and that personal story there makes sense. Because think about anyone that you think is kind of working out kind of nice, whether it's a date or whatever it is, anybody can find fault. And I'm not telling you to keep going to surgeons who forget to put some of your organs back when they're done. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm saying in my own way, I do my best to see them in the light, even though challenging things can come up. Does that make sense? Never lose that. Okay? God is within. I am determined to see God within you, even during challenging moments. And even the people that are hateful and always hateful, let alone the ones that acted loving and become hateful, I refuse to forget that I love them. There's something in them that is love. It's called God. I just can't see it right now because of their behavior. But a divine being will be able to affirm it's there. Otherwise, we started believing in false gods. They're just bad people and there's no good in them, is a false god. Doesn't seem like a god because you're calling it negative. It's a false power that you think they have over you because they're evil and they hurt you. They are not. They don't have any power over you. Jesus told Pilate, you only have power that's being given to you. What a wonderful way to usurp our false gods. Remember that one. The person that abandoned you, betrayed you, friends are saying, they did that to you, that's horrible, they're such bad people. It takes an amazing person to say, yeah, and they only have power I gave to them. Not easy, guys. It's not easy, but affirm it. Know it. You don't have to even say it to others if it's a little intimidating for some reason, but inside your mind, try it. In the quiet of your own bubble bath, you know, say, I don't like to say it, but I'm going to say it. Somehow, they only seemed to have power. They didn't really have, they seemed, and it was only power on some level I must have given. That's right. You're going to have the temptation to go, no, not me. Okay, I can see that thought coming up as well, but I accept that on some level it's possible. But if it's possible, I can now change my mind and say no more. If it's not possible, I can't change it, and I can't stop them from having power. When I own that it was in my mind, I can change it in an instant. Please take a few centering breaths. Thank you. Such beautiful things we all share together. And as always, it wasn't a person preaching, teaching today. It seems like it, so we respect the teachers that offer something, the healers that offer something. It's reasonable to respect people. But what matters is, what did you hear? What did you choose to hear and create and learn today? Keep the power within yourself. There's a real humility and a false humility. And it's a false humility to think that you're a lower being listening to a great teacher. That's a false humility. No matter what teacher or book or vision you ever have, they're profound, they're beautiful, but they're also only able to happen when you yourself have created that moment. Don't be proud egotistically, but be grateful. This is you heard today. A greater level of your own divinity. And if you were repulsed or hated it, then you're seeing those parts of yourself. All in all, what did you hear that made sense today? And sit with it as though it was only you. As though it was a meditation you had and you heard divine speaking within your own being. What did you hear? Take what you heard today and have a meditation with it right now. Make believe you're sitting alone somewhere and it all happened within your consciousness. The truth, the power, the clarity, the love. Wow. This is all within me. I'm having an amazing vision. I had a vision that I was in this temple and there were all these light beings, ascended masters and angels, except it's this room and all these beautiful people. You see, that's who they were. The angels are these people. Don't make them distant, so high a dimension that you can't access them. Start to believe that there are good people around us and they're right here, and feel grateful because you had to have created that too. And take a moment to honestly look. What are my false gods? What are my or limiting beliefs? I believe I'm a body. I believe I can still get sick. I believe that I'm limited to being in one place at a time. I believe that I have family genetics, any of them that apply. All mortals have them. We simply learn to decide how much to believe in them, how much to invest in them. And one way to learn to laugh at them is to use the metaphor. Every time we think they have power, it's as though we're bowing to them. Wouldn't you think that's a bit silly? Imagine yourself bowing to a sick body. Bowing to a person that you thought left you and made you miserable. Imagine bowing to them. Oh, partner of mine, bowing, bowing, thou who hadst left me and made me miserable. It sort of should make us feel silly. They have no power but that which was given. And why would I do such a thing? Because I forgot my divinity. And for that, I forgive myself. I forgive all the people that played the roles that I bowed to, including my own mortal body. I forgive myself for having limiting beliefs about my emotions, that I could somehow lack self-worth or whatever. But I forgive myself. Forgive all the people, and I forgive myself. And that forgiveness does not come from me. It comes from the truth in me that tells me who I really am. Therefore, the forgiveness is not a struggle or an effort. This forgiveness is whole. This is real. And I'm choosing to give it power because it comes from within me and it's a reflection of God. And so it is.
So it is.
Nice job, guys. It's great to see the smiles and the good, the bright energy on your faces.